By the way, someone asked for the retro intro recently on YouTube or a text message, I'm not sure which, but happy to oblige. Here it is. All right, while I have you all here captive, tomorrow I'll start the brewing. I just got the grain milled for now. I have everything set up on my table, kind of ready to go. Obviously not the jalapenos, and I am gonna definitely wash those before I bring them out and slice them up. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on here. So I have brewed 3 batches of Kolsch so far. I have done a Drunk Monkey, and the Drunk Monkey is now drinkable, and it's every bit as good as the first batch I made. So I think that's it. I don't really have plans to make much of anything else. I have this batch that'll be a 10-gallon batch, and then it's probably going to exhaust me of bottles, to be quite frank, because if you figure I do 4 batches, see, it was 2 and 3, 5 batches, that's 500 bottles, plus what I have left over already, which is probably about, I'm going to guess 8 or 9 cases of beer, across different varieties. I've got chocolate stout, I've got pumpkin, I have, I think there might be some American Pale Ale left, and I don't know. I don't go back there and look at the inventory all the time, but that just comes to mind. So that's what's been going on so far. If you guys want to see me make something that you haven't seen done before, as long as it's not a lager, because I'm not going to get into doing lagers, but if you have a beer that you'd like to see me make, even if it's kit beer, let me know. Now, whether I have enough bottles to do something like that this year or not, I'm not sure, but if not, I would roll it into next year's brewing season, and I would do it then. That's kind of where we're at. I'm kind of limited on brewing down here because most of you know I use my pool water as a chiller. So the ideal time to really be doing brewing is anywhere from November through March. We had an exceptionally warm March so far, so it's been a little difficult. But once we get out of that period, then I just don't want to mess with it. The water is too warm. You know, cycling through it takes forever, and that's just kind of not a good deal. The sooner you can chill your work down, the better off you're going to be, and that's where I want to stay. I want to stay in that sweet spot of having pool water that's, 50 degrees or under, so that I can chill down that whole 10 gallons in about a half an hour. So that's how it's worked out anyway. So anyway, that's it. We'll start this tomorrow morning at it'll probably be pretty early. I'm guessing like 5 a.m. I will see you then. All right, let's mill some grain. I can't fit it all in the hopper, unfortunately. I wish I could. It would make life a little easier. All right, once we hit 165 degrees, we're gonna put 5.68 gallons of that water into the mash tun and stir in our grain. All right, let's mash in the grain. This is the most exciting part, not. Just make sure you don't get any dough balls and you'll be fine. Slow and steady wins the race. All right, for 75 minutes,
it should be at 150. I'm a little elevated from that, but it's not a big deal. So we'll come back in 75 minutes and start the sparge. Okay, once we're done sparging and we actually are ready to do the boil, with 20 minutes left in the boil, I'll put the chiller in, and then with 10 minutes left in the boil, this is the screen I'm going to put in with the jalapenos, and there is 14 jalapenos sliced up that are going to go in there, and then we're going to see how this whole thing works out. Hopefully pretty good, but who knows. All right, our 75 minutes are up. I'm just going to make sure we have a clear grain bed here by opening it up and letting the wort come down in, and make sure that it runs clear before I dump it back into the mash tun and start the sparge. And it looks pretty clean right off the bat. A little fast, that's better. So I'll keep an eye on it, dump it back in, and then we'll start the sparge. Okay, so I've just started the sparge water. Ideally, you want about 1 inch to 2 inches of water over your grain bed, and you want to match that output coming from the hot water tank to the boil kettle. So I'll be back when we're done sparging. Okay, we are getting ready to get to the boil here, heating up the wort right now. It's got a ways to go. I mean, I just started the burner. Let's go over here once and look at the recipe. So the pre-boil gravity is supposed to be a 1.040. I had a 1.042, so you know, right in there. The other thing I do, and I think if you watch some of my videos, you remember once I had a really tart beer and I traced it back to the yeast. I always write my expiration dates and code dates or lot numbers down, just so if I do have something that goes wrong, and if, let's say I'm using multiple packets of yeast that all came from basically the same date, they may have a slightly different lot number, at least I know that could potentially be an issue across batches. And that's what I found on one set of beer going back, gosh, I'm guessing it's like 5-6 years ago. Anyway, that's it. Once this boil starts, then we will be putting in 2 ounces of Cascade hops, and that will go for the entire boil. And then when we have 3 minutes left, that 1 ounce of Cascade will go in. Remember, I'm doing a 10-gallon batch, but of course we have the jalapenos and the chiller going in too. So the chiller goes in, 20-15 minutes before the end of the boil, and we said we would put the jalapenos in with 10 minutes left. So back when we're getting ready to throw the first set of hops in. All right, the boil is starting. And I just dialed it down a bit because it was getting a little crazy. I may have to dial it back up again, but let's throw in the 2 ounces of Cascade hops, and then I'm going to sit here and babysit this for a while. You never want to walk away when you start your boil. If you have it boil over, you are going to regret it for a long time, probably the whole time you're scrubbing the floor, which will be a long, long time. All right, so the next step after this will be when the chiller goes in. I won't show you that. And then when the jalapenos go in, which I will show you, and then with 3 minutes left in the boil, I will throw in the second set of hops, which is 1 ounce of Cascade. And then it's the whole chill down process. And so anyway, we'll be back in a little bit when we are ready to throw the jalapenos in. All right, away we go. There go the jalapenos. Well, we'll see how that goes. I'm just gonna push these down a little bit in the basket. There's certainly enough activity going on in here that I probably don't need to, but yeah, what the heck. All right, 3 minutes left in the boil. Let's add the last hop addition, which is 1 ounce Cascade. Boom. And then all that's left to do is run the 3 minutes, turn off the burner, and then start the chiller. All right, chiller is on, and I will give you guys a quick look at the system I use to chill the beer. Water is very, very expensive down here in Texas. And $30 in my bill right off the bat, or maybe even $35, is just to be part of the co-op that supplies the water. So here's what I do. I have to tighten this connection just a hair. I noticed it was dripping, but I'm coming off the pool equipment. I'm coming into the chiller, as you saw, and then I'm coming out the other side and coming through a couple hoses all the way back to the pool. And I'm discharging right back in again. Yeah, that's hot. That's very hot water. So that's my system. Okay, post-boil gravity was a 1.047. The target was a 1.046, so we're definitely right in there. Just in the middle of chilling everything down, and then into the fermenting pails it shall go. All right, guys, you know the drill. I aerate the wort. I don't go crazy with it. Just enough to help the yeast along. That's usually about all I do. Time to take your sanitized yeast packets and sprinkle the yeast over your wort. I can really smell the jalapeno, so I'm happy about that. And I did make a mistake of eating one jalapeno out of the basket after I took it out. Started out real sweet. Man, what a burn after that. Okay, so let me put the tops on and the airlocks, and I'll be done. All right, folks, that's it for the jalapeno beer. Once again, it's just a blonde ale with the jalapenos in it. And, let's see how this one turns out. This is my third shot at it. Like I said, I was underwhelmed with the first batch, underwhelmed with the second, except it had a great jalapeno flavor. So let's see if I get kind of a combination of, a nice flavor and a nice bite doing it the way I just did it. And, I'll be back and let you know. So stay tuned for that video. And until next time, cheers. Wish I had a beer to drink right now. This has been a Matty Boy presentation. Say bye-bye, Matty.